Hello everyone. So again in English we gotta be moving forward with our syllabus. We had already started our second chapter, that is Lost Spring, written by Anish Chang. Okay, it's mandatory to remember the name of the chapter and the name of the author. It's a mandatory, as I have told you several times. So before moving forward, I just want you to revise the story what is so far. Okay, it's a story about the ragpickers. We had met our hero Saibeala. So I'm just giving you 2 minutes and just have an eye or just create the images in your head about the story so far, because today we would be moving forward with our chapter. Okay, remember the name of the author. Okay, it is Anish Chang. Okay, I'm giving you 2 minutes, just have an eye on it or put all the pictures in your head so that we can move forward. So we would be continuing from where we had left in the previous session. Just have an eye on it. Alright, so now let's continue with our chapter. Pay attention and listen to me carefully. My acquaintance with the barefoot ragpickers lead me to Simapuri. Okay, it's a very nice statement. My acquaintance with the barefoot ragpickers leads me to Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. Acquaintance, the word acquaintance in English, it resembles to friends. It resembles to friends. Now, as we know that those rag picking people or children, like they were barefoot, it means that they were not wearing any footwears, and one of the persons, he was wearing two different shoes in his leg. It might be the same army, who knows, it might be the same. And here it is mentioned about the new place called Simapuri, which is a place on the periphery of Delhi. Periphery of Delhi, it means it is near to that area, near to the main city. Okay, and here the sentence, a figure of speech is used in that. Okay, because it is clearly printed, the word is clearly printed, that is metaphorically. Metaphorically, that place is very far from it. Okay, so obviously the figure of speech would be metaphor. Remember, figures of speech, they are not just hidden in the poems. Okay, they are hidden even in the chapters. You just have to rectify it. Okay, so it's about a new place called Simapuri. Now let's see what is happening out there. Those who live here are squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. Saib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. It still is, but it is no longer empty. In structures of mud, with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, devoid of sewage, drainage, or running water, live 10,000 ragpickers. So this Simapuri is a kind of a dangerous place. No one would be telling you to visit out there, but this is the overline of the city, like who is living out there, what sort of people are out there. So it is quite clear that I think it is the queen city of rag pickers, because as it is clearly printed, there are 10,000 rag pickers who are still living out there at Simapuri. And considering the history of the city, or the families who might have migrated from one country to another country, here in our case, many people had migrated from Bangladesh, and it's a time of, and since what time they migrated, since 1971, it means during that time they had decided to leave their country Bangladesh, and they had decided to settle here in India. That is, in India they are in a village or a place called Simapuri, which is in the periphery of Delhi. Okay, so you would not be using the word village, okay, since it's a Delhi, so I think it's a metropolitan city, so I think we do not need to use the word village. Okay, it might be the area in Delhi. And what is the name of that area? It is Simapuri. And you can even see how the houses were built. Okay, there were no drainage system, and it had a roofs of tin. Okay, so houses were not houses were not made up of concrete cement, but the roofs were just covered by tin. A tin is a metal. Okay, tin is a type of a metal. Let us move further. Now they have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards that get their names on voters lists and enables them to buy grain. So I think these people would not be having any passports, but they had only one thing, that is the ration card. As you are well aware about this card, with the help of this card, people living below poverty line, that is BPL, they are entitled to get free grains from the respective shops depending on the ration card that they have. So nowadays, as we know, we are in the situation of COVID-19, that is coronavirus disease 2019. So as our Prime Minister had told that people would be getting free grains, and it would be till the festival of lights, that is till Diwali, but it is mandatory to have a ration card. Okay, so those people did not have any sorts of identity or any government identity proof, but or however they were carrying the ration card. And nowadays these people, even they have Aadhaar card. Okay, because to get Aadhaar card in India is not a big deal. You just have to go to that place, just give your name and address, and you would be getting the Aadhaar card. But what's the current situation, I am not aware about it. Okay, because these sort of things are, it's a quite a mess inside. Okay, so it's just better we just stick ourselves with the chapter. Now, food is more important for survival than an identity. So, it might be one of the sentences spoken by someone. Our author might have questioned to them. So, she or he might have used this statement. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. Say a group of women in tattered saris when I asked them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers. So now the problem is in Bangladesh where they were living. For those people, they might be owning a piece of land or what, we are not aware about that, but it is clearly printed that they were having problems with the work, they were not getting paid. So for them, those people had hard times even to get the food. I think that might be one of the reasons why they had left their country, that is Bangladesh, and they have settled here in India, that is in Simapuri, located near Delhi. So for those people, they do not need any high-tech services, okay, like air conditioner at home, get a concrete house, or own a car, or own a bike, motorbike, or those sorts of things, okay. So for them, only the thing that matters is the food, okay, because as it is clearly mentioned, one of the ladies had talked to our author, and according to her, identity cards does not matter. What matters is the food, because it's the food that what the human beings alive, okay. It's because of the food we are alive, okay. It's not because of any sorts of identity cards or something like that, okay, indirectly. So for those sorts of family, their entire focus is on food rather than the luxurious commodities. Okay, so for them, once they get the food, that is meal, 2 meals per day, those people would be more than happy. But these kind of things were not happening in Bangladesh, okay. So there they might have tougher times than here. That is one of the reasons why they have settled themselves in Delhi, Simapuri to be very precise. Let us move further, and you see they have mentioned about tartered saris too, okay. And tartered saris means those saris those ladies were wearing, okay, they were teared off, okay. So these kind of things are there. Now let us move further. Wherever they find food, they pitch their tents, and that become transit homes. Okay. Whenever they find food, they pitch their tents that become transit homes. Okay, so it suggests that for those people, they do not really have a concrete home. So it's like wherever they get the work, they would be putting their tents near to the work, and they would be living out there. So these kind of things you might be aware of, okay, because you see near the garden that we have, those people, because I have seen these things with my naked eyes. So those people, they get the work for, let's say, 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. So for that certain amount of time, they would be living in the vicinity of the work, or I would say just near to the work. So they would be putting their tents up, and all the people would be living out there in the tents, because that is how these people work, okay. For them, the food matters rather than the shelter does not play any role in their life. For those people, they just need the food, and they do not care so much about the shelter. Okay, children grow up in them, becoming partners in survival. And survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Garbage to them is gold. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads, even if it is a leaking roof. But for a child, it is even more. So those people would be thinking it is much better to have a roof that is leaking rather than to not to have roof at all. Okay, so for those people, garbage is the gold. What is gold for them? Garbage, because they might be hoping every time to find something in the garbage that that can be a gold coin, or that is their mentality. It is because of that mentality that garbage rag picking is still going on. Let's move further. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note, Saib says, his eyes lightening up. Okay, as it is clearly mentioned, he's a rag picker and he's saying to our author that sometimes he finds a 1 rupee coin, or sometimes he even gets a 10 rupee note. After saying that, his eyes were quite brightened up. Okay, it's like saying someone is saying to you that you will get an iPhone, you know, that I think iPhone 11 or something like that. So when a person would be saying that, imagine your expressions. Same expressions are there of Saib here as it is depicted in the chapter. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is hope of finding more. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. Okay, so for certain words, definition of certain words change from one person to another person. Okay, so for us it would be a garbage, but for those people it would be the gold, because their entire living it is dependent on rag picking, and they are doing this since several decades. One winter morning, I see Saib standing by the fence gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. Okay, so now they are outside the tennis court. They are who are outside the tennis court. So there are two people. First is our Saib and another one is our author. So they are outside the tennis court. So our author might have asked a question to him, and what was the question? That do you like to play this game, or those sorts of questions she might be asking to our Saib. But the Saib told that, it's better for me that if I just watch the game from outside. And he further had added that he would be going inside, that is at the tennis court, when no one is around. And gatekeeper might be helping him. The gatekeeper seems to be a very nice guy, since he's allowing him to enter and he's not creating any problem for him. Now let us move further. Saib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Okay, so this seems quite interesting that he's wearing tennis shoes. Now you can imagine, okay, now what can happen. Okay, these sort of things, I think you people don't need the explanation. You are pretty smart to understand this. Someone gave them to me, he says in the manner of an explanation. The fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them does not bother him. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. But the game he is watching so intently is out of his reach. Okay, so one thing is quite clear, that people would not be allowing him to play tennis, because there might be any sort of reason, I don't know, but as it is written here, it clearly means that people won't be allowing him to play the tennis. And the shoes that he's wearing, he has a very good explanation for that. So one thing is for sure, that those are the shoes of a rich boy. His father might have given to him to play tennis. Okay, so the problem with those shoes was, what was the problem? The only problem that was in the shoes was that shoe, one of the shoes has a hole in it. So I think the rich people would not be uh, wearing a pair of shoes that has a hole on it. Okay, so in one of the shoes it might have a hole. So those people would be discarding that. But for Saib, it would be much better to wear that pair of shoes, because I think it is better to wear that shoes instead of going around in the neighborhood barefoot. Okay, it would be giving protection to his feet. Let's move further. This morning, Saib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. I now work in a tea stall down the road, he says, pointing in the distance. I'm paid 800 rupees and all my meals. Okay, that seems a very nice thing. So now, this our Sahib, he's working at a tea stall. He's working at the tea stall, remember that. And tea stall, so I think it is much better than picking up the rags, because that job is paying him 800 rupees, and apart from 800 rupees he gets all his meals for free. So in short, 800 rupees would be the savings per month because he's working in a tea stall. Now the another question that would be wondering in the mind of his or our author, so that question is, does he really like the job? Because if a person is working somewhere, job satisfaction is the very important and the crucial thing. So we would be finding the answer of that question. So before we move forward, I'm giving you 1 to 2 minutes to just to have an eye on it and just recapitulate of what I'm trying to give you an explanation for. And this seems to be a very nice chapter. So these all things might have happened when our author, she might have seen him early in the morning, and he might be going towards the milk booth to get the milk in a steel canister. In a steel canister. Okay, so now let's just move further. Now, does he like the job? I ask. Yes. So that certainly that question was asked by our author to our hero, that is Sam. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Saib is no longer his own master. So now let me be very honest with you, and let me tell you the situation. Now if you work at the tea stall, so you cannot do whatever you like, okay, because there would be some certain restrictions, okay. So for an example, if you are working in the morning and let's say your friends came and they are telling you like, come on, let's play any game, it can be cricket or football, whichever game. So this our person Saib, he cannot go because the tea owner, he would not be allowing him to go because he has to work, he has to serve tea cups to the customers. So that is the meaning of this statement. He is no longer his own master because he has to obey some certain things of the owner of the tea shop stall, and he cannot do whatever he likes. So that is the meaning of that. He is not the master of his anymore, okay. Now let us move further. I want to drive a car. Mukesh insists on being his own master. I will be a motor mechanic, he announces. Okay, so I think he is trying to change his job, and I think he is not having any job satisfaction. So, as a result, he is adding that he wants to become a mechanic. He wants to become a mechanic. Let us move further. Do you know anything about cars? I ask. I will learn to drive a car, he answers, looking straight into my eyes. His dreams looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets that fills his town, Firozabad, famous for its bangles. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. It is the center of India's glass-blowing industry where families have spent generations working around furnaces, welding glass, making bangles for all the women in the land, it seems. So, let me be very honest with you. Now you see, I want to drive a car, okay? So, at that period of time, this is the second part of the chapter, okay? So I want to drive a car is not said by our sahib, okay? So now that sahib who is working at the tea shop, now his story is over. Okay, the story of sahib is done. Now we are in the part 2 of the chapter. So in the part 2 of the chapter, we have our hero called Mukesh. Okay, so now our boy is changed. So the story of Saib is over. Okay, it is done and dusted. Now we are in the part 2 of the chapter. So now this guy Mukesh, now this Mukesh, he wants to become a mechanic. Mukesh wants to become a mechanic, so he might be planning to work in a garage. To work in a garage. Now, pardon me. Now, let me tell you about the place where he lives. Now, he lives in a place called Firozabad. Now, this place, Firozabad, is very famous in making bangles. In making bangles. So, we would have generations of family that had spent their entire life in making bangles. So this Mukesh, which is our second hero of the chapter, now he is from that chapter. Okay, he is from that family member and who like to or who work in a bangle industry. Which industry? Bangle industry. So they would be making bangles all the time. They would be making bangles all the time. So I think Mukesh is not interested in making any bangles. So I think he wants to become a mechanic. Let us move further and try to understand. Mukesh's family is among them. Yes, as it is clearly printed. As I explained you, Mukesh belongs to the family. And which family did he belong? From the family they make bangles. They make bangles. I think Mukesh is not interested in making any bangles. Now let us see what happens. Mukesh's family is among them. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces with high temperatures in dingy cells without air and light, that the law, if enforced, could get him and all those 20,000 children out of the hot furnaces where they slog their daylight hours, often losing the brightness of their eyes. Now you can see that these kind of situations are very dangerous, and let me tell you one thing. Now you see about making bangles. About making bangles, it is not so easy to make bangles because those people they have to work in a furnaces ventilation system is not proper, those cells are not proper, cleanliness is not maintained. Okay, so forget about hygienic level out there. So those places are very very dangerous, and during summertime it would be the worst. You can see the sweat dripping from their faces. Okay, so those people, I think they do not know anything about the child labor. Okay, they are not aware about those things, as it is mentioned here, like 20,000 children are working in those dangerous places. Okay, so those 20,000 children would be engaging themselves in making bangles, in making bangles. Okay, so these kind of things are very dangerous. Okay, so you can see that as even the lights, there would not be enough lights in the room. As a result, those people would be losing the brightness of their eyes. Okay, so they would be getting spectacles very soon, and in the worst scenario, as they turn old, as the age increases, they would be going blind. Okay, they would not be able to see because of all these dangerous things they had done in their pastimes. Mukesh's eyes beam as he volunteers to take me home, which he proudly says is being rebuilt. Okay, so now our author would be going with the Mukesh, and I think this Mukesh would be helping our author to see all those things, how they live, what they do, and in short, our author would be getting all the details. And even Mukesh even told that his house is rebuilding. Let's see what sort of house is getting rebuilt. We walked down stinking lanes chocked with garbage, past homes that remained hovels with crumbling walls, wobbly doors, no windows, crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. Okay, these kind of situations are very dangerous. Okay, so those places, okay, their area would be so less, there would be so many people, and there would be even dogs on the streets. It's like everybody, each and everyone, they are staying, or I would rather say living all together. You can imagine the situation. It is not so good. And apart from this, all the lanes would be stinking, garbage dumps would be there, humps would be there. Okay, so there would not be any proper sewing thing, okay, about the sewage. So there would be open manholes, there would be open manholes, the sewers and all those things coexisting. Okay, and you know that these kind of situations, they are very dangerous. Okay, not sewing, okay, sewers. Okay, that is how the word is pronounced, SEWERS. I just mispronounced the word. Okay, I wanted to say sewers, instead of that I just spoke sewing. Okay, so just discard that word. Okay, I didn't mean to say that. Okay, so you can imagine the situations, they are very dangerous. Now let us move further. Okay, so there were no windows. It was crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. He stops at the door of one such house, bangs a wobbly iron door with his foot, and pushes it open. So I think they have reached to his place. We enter a half-built shack. In one part of it, thatched with dead grass, is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. On the ground, in large aluminium platters, are more chopped vegetables. I think they would be making curry of that. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family. Through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. She is the wife of the Mukesh's elder brother. Not much older in years, she has begun to command respect as the Bahu. Okay, the word Bahu means, you know that, correct? Like, so for a male person, if he marries to anyone, so indirectly his wife, so his wife would be living with him. Okay, so a person, a male who is getting married, his mother would be saying her Bahu. Okay, the daughter-in-law of the house. Okay, that is the daughter-in-law of the house, already in charge of three men: her husband Mukesh and her father. So she is the person, and you can still see the situation where they are living and how she is cooking. But in spite of all those things, she had given a smile to our author when our author had seen her. Okay, and she has to take care of three men. Okay, first is obviously her husband, then her husband's brother, and her father-in-law. Okay, so father-in-law, that is Mukesh's father. So these kind of situations, let's just move further. When the older man enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings her veil closer to her face. Brings her veil. So those people, they usually wear saris, correct? So they put the sari around their face. Okay, so that is the meaning of the word veil. So that is what it is depicted here. Okay, when the older man enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings her veil closer to her face. As custom demands, daughters-in-law must veil their faces before male elders. In this case, the elder is an impoverished bangle maker. Despite long years of hard labor, first as a tailor, then a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house, send his two sons to school. All he has managed to do is teach them what he knows, the art of making bangles. So all these things, it is concerning the Mukesh's father. Okay, so I think Mukesh has one brother, so his father, he was not able to renovate the house, he was not able to send his two sons to school. Okay, he was not able to do anything. Okay, the only thing what he did was to teach them the art of making bangles, and trust me, it is not so easy. And before making bangles, this Mukesh's father had tried to work as a tailor. Okay, to work as a tailor, but nothing worked out. Okay, only the bangles had helped him during his times. Now let us move further. It is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. Can a God-given lineage ever be broken, she implies. Born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles in the house, in the yard, in every other house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the seven colors of the rainbow lie in the mounds in unkempt yards, are piled on four-wheeled handcarts pushed by young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town. So this is the explanation given by our author. Like here in this paragraph, actually the grandmother is coming into the picture, so she is adding that as he was as he was born in the glass bangle maker family, so he has to do the bangle making. Okay, it's like that is the work given to him by the god. And if a god gives any work, he has to do it. So indirectly she is using that sort of statements like a god has given the work, it means he has to do, and he has to do it. Okay, he does not have any other option. And apart from it, it is also mentioned that there were bangles lying everywhere. Everywhere means think of any place, there would be bangles. And apart from it, there were all the colors of the bangles. Okay, there were all the colors, and those people would be making bangles, and they would be parking all those bangles in the cart, okay, in the hand cart, and they would be selling to the customers. So I think those people would be going from home to home, okay, going through the narrow lanes, going through the narrow streets. They would be selling their bangles. So this is it for this part. So next part of the chapter I shall be continuing in the upcoming session. Okay. Make sure understand the chapter properly and do work hard.